Hi, my name is Alicia Larson, and I am a student at Salt Lake Community College. For my English class, we were asked to report about an issue we were passionate about. When I first started my research, I was looking at how different ethnicities viewed education and whether or not that reflected in how well they did in school. That being said, the research I found took me down a whole nother path. I learned that culture had nothing to do with achievement, and not only that, but it was dangerous to label cultural attributes to success. As an example, many Americans believe in this stereotype that Asians do well in school because of the tiger mom mentality. But in actuality, tiger moms don't come from Asian culture, but rather from first-generation immigrants of many different ethnicities. The reason we see this trend of Asians doing superiorly well in schools is that a majority of our Asian population are first-generation immigrants. Studies show that once Asians have assimilated to American culture, there's no indication of superiority in academic achievement. Though cultural mentality does not directly contribute to achievement, I did find that there is a success gap between other cultural minorities and their white and Asian peers. And I got thinking, America is really big on how we're an equal opportunity country, but if African American and Latino students are not doing as well in school, how could they possibly have the same shot at the opportunities their peers have if their own education has them already at a disadvantage? Are schools setting them up to fail? Is it that they aren't trying as hard? Either way, post-graduation, minorities are finding that they aren't qualified for college or careers and are stuck either unemployed or at very low income job. Not only is this an issue for the minorities themselves, but as our minority population is growing to be the majority and our society is more and more technology driven, employers are finding themselves extremely short-staffed because they can't find anyone qualified in STEM to hold the positions they need filled. So what's going on with our American education? To begin, tracking is a huge contributor to the achievement gap. In fact, many educators are already cursing the tracking system as it's setting students up to fail. The original idea of it is that we should group the gifted kids together, the regular kids together, and the ones that need extra help together, which sounds like a good idea at first, but it contributes to further segregation as tracking becomes more racialized in mixed schools. In my research, I found that even if African American or Latino students held the same grades as their white or Asian peers, they were still more likely to be tracked lower. And being on the low track actually holds students back from achieving higher. Teacher efficacy, meaning the teacher's belief that their student can succeed, is lower in lower tracked classes because the teachers already have lower expectations for their students. One school district, Rockville Center School District, moved all of their students into high track classes and offered support classes after school to help with the transition. They found that after doing this, all groups, minorities, majorities, high socioeconomic standing, low socioeconomic standing, and special education showed increased achievement in school, and they were able to decrease their racial gap. Once everyone was in a high-level class, the teachers held higher expectations for everyone, and the students got to get out of their comfort zone and reach for higher expectations. On the contrary, if a minority wants to take a higher tracked class, they must weigh a racial opportunity cost. Many gifted or high-achieving classes in mixed-race schools are primarily attended by white and Asian students. If they choose to attend these higher-level classes, they will likely feel alienated from their same race peers and even receive ridicule from them. To them, these classes are considered white classes, and they may even be accused of being a race traitor. So already minorities are less likely to be placed in these classes, but if they have the opportunity to choose these classes, they must weigh the importance of their social life against the importance of their academic life. Most will value their social life over their academic life because at this age, where you stand in society seems most important to you. Another roadblock many minority students face is that many come from poverty. This hurts their academic success because many times they're coming from a single-parent household and they don't get as much parental involvement in school. Low-income neighborhoods also have a lot of violence. Overall, children that grow up in poverty face more stressful situations that are damaging to their ability to focus on school. Not only that, but many schools in low-income neighborhoods do not get much funding. They employ teachers that are less qualified or less experienced and don't expect high achievement from their students. On top of that, the extra funding they need go to schools that are showing success. So these impoverished schools that have students that need extra help can't get the extra help they need because they aren't showing the successes needed to get funding. So these disadvantaged kids are getting further disadvantaged. These low-income schools, mainly minority, are facing another issue: cultural discontinuity. Over 50% of the students in the US are minority versus only 15% of teachers. While teachers mostly come from the middle class, 1/3 of our students are growing up in poverty. A majority of our teachers are unable to relate to the majority of their students. While having shared ethnicity is not a requirement of teaching, studies show that achievement increases when students have a bicultural teacher to act as a cultural glue or translator. Teachers from minorities are also more likely to view urban students and schools as a community to engage with and support, whereas some others are likely to view them as problems that need solving. Students that come from poverty also have low expectations of themselves. They face an attitude achievement paradox. When asked about their attitude towards education, minorities actually view education in a higher regard than their peers. They recognize that education is a lever of mobility in their lives, a gate to freedom, if you will. But when asked about higher education, many minorities felt that they can go. Studies have found that when children grow up in poverty, they are more likely to have an external locus of control, which means they believe that what happens in their life is chalked up to luck or chance versus an internal locus of control, which means they believe that what happens is caused by their own doing. In other words, they don't believe that what they personally do can help them achieve higher education, so they don't see a point in trying. A lot of issues require social reform to fix. However, there are still many things that can be done on a smaller scale to help. Amanda Williams researched what could be done to narrow the achievement gap. She explained that successful charter schools had 5 things in common that could be incorporated into schools across the nation. First, they had a clear mission that focused on college prep and teaching a rigorous curriculum. Second, instead of teaching for good test scores, they taught for mastery. The difference is when teaching for standardized tests, students end up learning a curriculum that focuses a lot on memorization and regurgitation, so they can do well on the test. But when we're teaching for mastery, we ensure that the students are actively learning the material. Third, they also provide extra support for struggling students. Fourth, their administration values professional development and provides teachers with times to get together and collaborate. And lastly, they hold themselves personally responsible for their students' achievement. There are things outside of school that can contribute to decreased achievement, but there are things schools can do to try to help that. They hold themselves accountable to provide that help. There are also things that parents can do to help, such as reading to their kids in English, holding their kids accountable for their homework, attending school events, and providing a mentally stimulating environment at home. Teachers can also encourage students of minorities to pursue a career in education, like they have been for STEM. This will help with the cultural discontinuity in the future. If we can diminish the achievement gap, we can help with the future worker shortage, unemployment rates, and hopefully break the poverty cycle within minorities. With equal education, we can create equal opportunity, enabling everyone with the chance to freedom.